Welcome back. Well, it's a hectic time of year as kids all over the country start to make the switch from a more carefree lifestyle to more structure and routine. Rebecca Michelson is the manager of community outreach at Penfield Children's Center. She's here with tips so your kids can make a smooth transition from summer to the school year. Good morning to you, Rebecca.
Good morning.
Good to see you again. Let's chat about this. I think this is like one of the biggest topics of conversation among parents, teachers, kids is what's going to be going on for the school year. So now is a good time to start prepping mentally, regardless of what it's going to look like, right?
Right. I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge for everybody right now is we know it's coming up quickly, but we don't all know exactly what's going on yet. But I think it's good to start preparing because at some point we have to be ready.
Absolutely. And here are some ways that you suggest to do that. I love this first one because I think it is so important. You say get excited for the change because kids recognize your emotions too.
Right. So be enthusiastic about it, whether they are going back in person or they are going to be remote learning. We want to just be excited about it because ultimately we know this school year is not going to look like any past school year has looked. And so we just need to be excited for our children. Yes, we may have some concerns, but the more we can show enthusiasm around it, it's going to help put their own concerns at ease.
Yeah, kids are resilient, right? They're just going to go with the flow. So don't give them anything to worry about. Another one I love is consistent bedtimes. And I think that can be tough coming off summer.
It is. So consistent bedtimes are really important because we want to make sure our children are getting enough rest. And it's hard because, yeah, we maybe have had a little bit more of a relaxed schedule in the summer. So we want to start transitioning back to a school year bedtime for our children. Ideally, you want to start this a month before school starts. For some of us, we might only have a few weeks until that happens. But we want to set that consistent time so children's bodies start to recognize when they need to start calming down, to start recognizing that it is bedtime. The hardest thing, though, I think for everybody right now will be to jump from what that summer bedtime looks like to that school bedtime. So maybe you're not going to make that huge jump and you're just going to start making bedtime a little bit earlier each night or every couple of nights by, let's say, 10-15 minutes.
That's an easy, more accomplishable task. I like that. The next couple of things is really set up the expectations and also include them in picking out school supplies.
Yeah, really just help them understand what this school year is going to look like, what to expect throughout their day, but also get them excited in picking out whatever their school supplies are. And again, thinking, well, my child's not going back to school. We know they're remote learning. They're still going to probably need some supplies at home to get them through that remote learning. So include them in that process.
And there was nothing more fun as a kid than picking out those school supplies. I loved that, and I think many do get excited for it. You suggest adjusting your schedule so that you can attend if there are open houses or meet and greets.
Right. So try to be part of those meet and greets, those open houses. I mean, some of those may now take place virtually, but it gives you a chance as well as your child a chance to see what their classroom looks like, meet their teachers, get to know maybe a few children in their class if they are new to a school or maybe this is their first year in school. It gives them that opportunity just to become familiar and comfortable. For those returning to a school, again, things are going to look different. So again, it gets them comfortable with the new layout. If they have to walk down certain hallways differently than they have in the past, it just gives them that comfort.
I love that. I'm just going to say these two quick because I want to move on to virtual learning tips.
Yes.
But the next ones, if they're going to school, you say learn the drop-off policy, do a practice walkthrough in the school to the classroom, have a fun goodbye ritual. And then once the school year starts, remember to keep that open communication with the teachers. So important. Virtual learning tips. If kids are not going back, let's start with that. And you say there still needs to be a daily routine.
Yeah, a lot of people think, well, I need that morning routine. I need that daily routine when I'm leaving the house. But you need that too when you're in the house doing your remote learning because you want to make sure that your child is awake, that they've had breakfast, that they are set and ready to go for the day. So getting dressed, having their learning space prepared and ready to go so that they're not feeling rushed when maybe they have to start with a classroom meeting at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and they've just rolled out of bed at 8 o'clock. They may not be as productive where if they've had a little bit more time to prepare for that morning.
Yeah, you think about us as adults and just transitioning, so many of us that have tried working at home, how different your routine has to be. It's tough to get into a groove. So kids definitely need that help. You also
Yeah.
say creating an at-home learning space and organizational system is imperative too.
Yeah. So, when the pandemic started, we all kind of jumped into just working with what we had at home. If we know in advance that we're doing remote learning, work on really setting up that learning space for your child. Have them involved in the process and looking at what works for them. The biggest recommendation that we have, though, is making that learning space separate from a play space so it helps get them into that learning mindset. And then you also want to create some organization for them so that they have quick and easy access to their school supplies if they need them. If they're using some type of an electronic device, that it's easily close to an outlet that if it needs to be charged throughout the day, it can be charged. And then also having a family calendar. A lot of families maybe moved away from that when we're not running around, but it's still important to have it to know when deadlines and assignments are coming up.
That's great. And you say overall be flexible, right? This is important.
Yes. I think the biggest thing the Kohl's Building Blocks program really wants to kind of remind families of, whether we're returning to school in person or we are doing the remote learning, we have to be flexible. Things look different this year. There's going to be mistakes. We just have to make sure that we can adjust.
It's so true. I think those are wonderful tips to help so many parents and kids and even some teachers going back as well. Thanks so much for joining us, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Good to see you. For more tips on going back to school and establishing those routines, visit the Kohl's Building Blocks website. That's penfieldbuildingblocks.org for more.